Once again, Robert Kiyosaki here, and I'm talking about a very important subject. It's a subject about people trying to steal your money. And as you know, in court system, they say you're innocent until proven guilty. That's not really true. In the real court system, and I've been in a number of times, you're guilty until your attorney can kick the other attorney's ass. I mean, that's the way it really works. I'll tell you something, I'm so disappointed in our court system and the jury systems, you have no idea. You could be perfectly innocent, you've done nothing wrong, but somebody can accuse you of something you haven't done and still win. So if you think that there's really justice in the legal system, you better dream on. So that's why I recommend this book here, Start Your Own Corporation, by my personal attorney here, Garrett Sutton, the guy that builds my castle walls. You've got to be very, very careful today to cover your assets and your wealth. So again, as I said before, there's two things. Number one is you got to protect yourself from the scumbags who want to steal your wealth, people that want to sue you for anything. So recently, or about 5 years ago, I had a friend who was in a partnership. And the worst thing you can be in business is in a partnership. You go to an accountant and say, oh, put yourself in a partnership. That's the worst thing you can do. You've got to put a corporation or something behind you. So what happened was this guy, they built this big business over 20 years. They were pretty wealthy. And so his partner's daughter, who was now 19 years old, got drunk. And with his car, because it was in his name, hit somebody and killed somebody on the sidewalk. So because his partner's daughter got drunk and killed somebody, the father of the person that was killed came after both of them. So both partners lost everything. So this is the lesson. You ask accountants for tax advice. You don't ask accountants for legal advice. So when you read the Rich Dad Company's work and all this, I always say you have to have the best advisors. So Garrett is my corporations attorney. He's my legal guy. He builds my castle walls. Tom Wheelwright is my tax guy. So you got to have at least two, one accountant, one attorney to cover your assets out there, because the government's going to come after your money and the desperate people out there will come after your money. So that's what I'm saying. You've got to have at least two people, an accountant and attorney. Please be very careful, because there's a lot of bad advice out there. Again, if it had not been for Garrett, I would have lost everything. I would have lost everything. And all it cost me was about $1,000 to build a castle wall. So this is the big point here, is this. Choose your accountants and attorneys carefully. But the bigger problem is this. Many people ask for advice, tax advice, from somebody who's not an accountant. And they ask for legal advice from somebody who's not an attorney, like their brother-in-law or their father-in-law. That's why so many poor people are poor, is they ask idiots for tax advice and ask legal advice. You'd be surprised how many people out there are being screwed because of bad advice. Well, tell me what I should do. He said, well, you should do this. I said, well, are you an attorney? No, but I'll give you some advice here. Please, this is your greatest asset over here. If you're going to take advice, please be very careful who you get the advice from. That includes me too. So once again, we live in dangerous times, desperate times, a lot of desperate people, and desperate people do desperate things. That's why you need the best advice possible, both taxes and legal advice. Because remember, you've got to be responsible to cover your own assets.